where India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar is on a two-day visit to Sri Lanka. On his third such visit to the island nation since 2021, the Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar met with his Sri Lankan counterpart Ali Sabry on Thursday. Listen to what the two of them have to say.
My primary purpose of coming to Colombo at this time is to express India's solidarity with Sri Lanka during these difficult moments.
It is no exaggeration to say that it was for the most part due to the enormous support amounting to $4 billion worth of credit line provided by India for the import of essential goods as well as other in-kind humanitarian assistance that we were able to regain some measure of economic and financial stability.
The visit follows India's backing of Sri Lanka for a $2.9 billion International Monetary Fund loan. And this leaves China as the island's last remaining major creditor, which has yet to agree to the debt restructuring plan. Now, India has told the IMF that it strongly supports Sri Lanka's debt restructuring plan. The Colombo owes nearly about $1 billion to New Delhi.
We have decided not to wait on others, but to do what we believe is right. We extended financing assurances to the IMF to clear the way for Sri Lanka to move forward.
India has extended its hand in support of the first country to officially back our debt restructuring program by conveying financial assurances to the International Monetary Fund.
But what is interesting is this: Sri Lanka requires the backing of both China and India, its biggest bilateral lenders, to reach a final agreement with the IMF on the loan that is essential to help the country of nearly about 22 million people emerge from its worst financial crisis in 7 decades.
The significant visit of the Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to Sri Lanka has concluded, and the key focus was the debt restructuring for Sri Lanka. Now, we know that Sri Lanka is in talks with IMF for a bailout, but it needs approval from its creditors, including India. In fact, India is the first creditor of Sri Lanka to give approval when it comes to the debt restructuring talks for the country. We know that there has been economic crisis in the country, but essentially this visit is an important visit also because this is the first such visit by a top Indian minister to Sri Lanka since the political and economic crisis of last year and the visit of Chinese spy ship WION The World to the country. So essentially this visit is seen as a big movement in terms of the relationship, and we also know that India has invited the Sri Lankan president to visit Delhi, and this is something that could be on the anvils in next few months. With video journalist Sanjeet Siddhansubal for WION in New Delhi.
With the latest high-level meeting, India is of course looking to strengthen ties with its debt-ridden neighbour and to sign several key deals. Now, reports in fact say that the two countries are expected to sign a memorandum of understanding for a renewable power project covering 3 islands in Sri Lanka's north. Now, the project has stoked a bit of a controversy last year as it was initially awarded to a Chinese company before India stepped in to secure them. And also our correspondent Dasauni Athauda has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report from Colombo. Listen in.
With India's foreign minister now providing much-needed reassurance that India will not fade for any other creditor but would move forward in supporting Sri Lanka in the endeavour of receiving the much-needed $2.9 billion worth of aid. All eyes will now turn to China to await for what the Chinese authorities have to say regarding the debt restructuring process, which is needed and essential for Sri Lanka before they obtain this $2.9 billion from the International Monetary Fund. Also through this discussion, it was seen that the Indian Foreign Minister did highlight how imperative it was for the 13th Amendment to the Constitution to be implemented in its entirety, while also focusing and shedding light on much-needed investment and bilateral relation projects over the coming months, which will further strengthen Sri Lanka's ties with India. Reporting for WION World is one from Colombo. I'm Dasania Kauda.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.